Welcome aboard. We've got a live UFC Sao Paulo weigh-in watch party unfolding right before your very eyes. We just saw Mark Diakese take to the scales, flipping the Sao Paulo crowd, the bird, which is not endearing to the local crowd down there. And look at this, Kawe Fernandez also amped up. And you watch these two young men squaring off. They need to be separated. They need to be separated. And look at Mark Diakese getting into the face, eye to eye, pointing to the ground. I think we're in for a fantastic matchup to kick off tomorrow's event, possibly a fight that may end inside the distance. Shockingly, because you also watch Mark Diakese, and he's not traditionally known as a finisher. Now, Montserrat Conejo Ruiz making her way to the scale. I believe that she came in at 114 and a half pounds today, under the strawweight limit. And yes, that is correct. She's waving to the crowd. She is ready to go, and she's taking on Eduarda Mora, who missed weight by a significant margin. I believe with the curtain, she came in at 119 and a half pounds, but she looks shredded. She looks like she's ready to go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in right now. Got a number of viewers here with us, and I appreciate this. Wow, what a huge size advantage Eduarda Mora has. And she takes 30% of Ruiz's purse. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. How much money is Mora possibly making there? And what is 30% of 12K? I'll let you do the math there. And now, solid square off there. Friendly. Not much animosity, but I do believe that we are likely to see a finish there. Now, here comes Denise Gomes. And Denise Gomes has a new haircut. She's got the tattoo on her neck. That usually leads to questionable decision-making. And she's taking on a seasoned veteran. We're watching the weigh-ins live here. This is a live weigh-in reaction video. Watch-along party, so to speak. And in comes Angela Hill. Angela Hill, all smiles, stepping onto the scale, looked fresh, even at 38 years of age. Looks like she's been through this many times before. And you have them shaking hands and taking a fighting position. Not much animosity in that one. Solid stare down. Nothing to write home about, though. Now, Vitor Petrino and Modestas Bukauskas. Both of these fighters made weight. First to the scale is Modestas Bukauskas. And here he comes. Here he comes. 205 and a half. And you hear the chants raining down from the Sao Paulo crowd. I'm not going to mention what they're saying because let's just say they're not rooting for Modestas Bukauskas to succeed. Now, Vitor Petrino gets a hero's welcome by the Sao Paulo crowd. He's flexing. He's walking up to the stage. The shirt's coming off, and he's getting the Sao Paulo crowd into it. He's about to step onto the scales. 206 pounds. Now, multiple fighters from the same camp that Vitor Petrino fights out of are competing on this card. And we have a friendly, amicable shake, and the stare down has commenced. And you see Vitor Petrino and Modestus Bukauskas appear to be the same exact height. But as far as density and muscularity, Vitor Petrino much, much more defined and muscular. But that muscles don't necessarily win fights. You have to be skilled inside of the 8-sided octagon. Now, we have Alessio Zaleski dos Santos making his way to the scale. The hat's backwards. He also fights out of the same fight camp as Vitor Petrino. He's pounding his chest, and he looked solid on the scales earlier in the day for the official weigh-ins. He's in his late 30s as well. Very impressive performance. And here comes Renat Fakhretdinov with the Brazilian bandana around his head, possibly trying to earn some fans here. Remember when Greg Jackson was telling John Jones to go get some fans after he locked in that guillotine choke against the fence against Lyoto Machida. Now, both of these fighters, Renat Fakhretdinov and Alessio Zaleski dos Santos, square off. They shake hands. Oh, it looks like Fakhretdinov's going to autograph his bandana and throw it to the crowd. What a gesture of solidarity and goodwill amongst men and women there. Now they exit the stage, and you have Elvis Brenner making his. Oh, nope. Kainan Krzyzewski is making his way to the scales. Krzyzewski. Now, this is a catchweight matchup, 165 pounds. Both of these fighters typically compete at 155 pounds. And Krzyzewski looking a little flabby on the scale, not looking like himself. I know he's taking this fight on short notice, but he means business. He's a fighter who's gone 4.5 rounds before, won a fight inside the distance in the 5th round against Thierry. Very impressive there. And here comes Elvis Brenner. Brenner is waving to the crowd, receiving also a hero's welcome here. Both of these fighters, Brazilian fighters. And you notice Brenner's haircut. It is not the traditional blonde of Chutebox. He's got black hair. Interesting hairline he's got going on there. And he's jumping up and down and about to face off with Krzyzewski. And Krzyzewski's pointing to the eyes, saying he wants to lock horns. And here they go. We've got a serious stare down on our hands right here, folks. Very intense. Probably the most intense we've had so far. Both of these fighters eyeing each other up, and they want to go to war. I love this. I love this. Can't wait for this one. Wow. All right. Now they make their way across the stage to the back room, and here we go. Rodolfo Vieira taking on Armen Petrosian, and Petrosian's going to be the first fighter to the scale here. Now, we know at earlier official weigh-ins, we saw that Petrosian looked solid on the scales, no issue there, but Rodolfo Vieira, man, he was sucked out. He was having some trouble there, but he made weight. Now, Petrosian, hat backwards, waving to the crowd, no issues whatsoever. He's shaking hands with Sean Shelby. And here we go. We have Rodolfo Vieira. The crowd is erupting. I can barely hear myself speak with the Brazilian crowd here. And you look at Rodolfo Vieira, he looks like he's sculpted out of stone. And he is cheering. He's nothing but smiles. Looks like he's probably put on about 7 or 8 pounds since weighing in earlier today. And they square off, and the hands are behind the back of Rodolfo Vieira. A page out of Jorge Masvidal's playbook there. And you have both of these fighters shaking hands and making their way backstage. So not the animosity that one would expect in a matchup, but that fight is likely not hitting the scorecards. Let's be honest with ourselves. Now, Abus Magomedov making his way to the stage, throwing his hat into the crowd, getting booed. Wow. I hear some chants. They may be wishing harm upon Abus Magomedov, as we've seen the Brazilian crowd do many times before. But he made weight. No issues there. Long, dangerous striker. And whoa, Caio Borralho. Heroes welcome. Brazilian crowd wearing the sunglasses, coming out with his sweatshirt on. The shirt comes off, and it is time to step on the scales. And Borralho is a grappler by trade. He may potentially have some issues closing distance against Abus Magomedov. We will see. All right. Look at this. Now, this is amazing to me. Borralho is taller than Abus Magomedov. Wow. This is incredible. Abus Magomedov, originally, he's listed at, Borralho is listed at 5'10", and he's taller than Abus Magomedov. That was interesting. And both of those fighters were wearing footwear provided by the UFC. Interesting. So that is something to be aware of. That is a real eye-opener. Wow. We knew that the 5'10" was not accurate, but that was startling to watch. Borralho, taller, and looked more sculpted, more defined, larger and longer, and looked like he was a significantly larger fighter against Abus Magomedov there. So that's a take-home point. Now, Don'Tale Mayes, here he comes against Rodrigo Nascimento. The rematch that the world, was the world asking for this rematch? I gotta ask. I don't know. I don't know if they were asking for this. But here we are. And we have Nascimento stepping to the scale after Don'Tale Mayes, and Mayes is holding his fists. He's making a fist, and he is about to engage in fisticuffs, but Nascimento not feeling it. Both of these fighters make their separate ways backstage, and no real animosity in that fight. And we saw last time out, Don'Tale Mayes choked out by Nascimento. Oh, here we go. Nicholas Dalby, a fighter who's won multiple fights in Brazil, coming out with his Viking-esque tendencies, and he's getting the crowd involved. He's egging them on. We see some Hulk Hogan-esque gestures, and he's on the scale, and he looks shredded. He looks in great shape for someone who's about to turn 39 years of age in 2 weeks. And here comes Gabriel Bonfim. We have Gabriel Bonfim here, who is amped up. Now, Ismael Bonfim, let's be real here, missed weight by a massive margin. These brothers were probably helping each other out behind the scenes. One of them obviously failed big time. And one of them also, Ismael Bonfim, has 4 submission losses on his resume. So he also quit on the weight cut here, wasn't able to cut weight. But now you have Bonfim, Gabriel Bonfim, and Nicholas Dalby locking eye to eye, and very serious face-off. Very, very serious face-off. Dalby not giving an inch. Oh, look at this. Bonfim extends the hand, and Dalby wants none of it. And Bonfim looks to the crowd, makes some sort of gesture, and that is that. So fascinating development there between Gabriel Bonfim and Nicholas Dalby. Dalby looks like he's ready to go. This is not something that he's afraid of. Obviously, it's something that he's done many times before, come into enemy territory and perform in Brazil. Now, we are about to take a look at the main event of the evening. They are showing a highlight reel here of Jailton Almeida locking up submissions, celebrating, and we're about to watch these two heavyweights make their way to the scale. Now, while we have a minute here, I want to say thank you everyone for taking time to tune in for this live watch party of UFC Sao Paulo, the ceremonial weigh-ins. And the few things that jumped off the page here while watching the weigh-ins were, number one, huge, that Caio Borralho is the not only taller fighter than Abus Magomedov, but also the larger fighter. Uh, you see, I was expecting Abus Magomedov to be a few inches taller than Caio Borralho. Um, you also saw Rodolfo Vieira looks like he has packed on a number of pounds in the lead up to this weigh-in. After the official weigh-ins this morning, it looks like he packed on pounds and he's good to go. My heart goes out to Vince Pichel, who he pulled a fast one on Ismael Bonfim. He declined a catchweight bout. And you know the Bonfim brothers were both looking to compete together, and that is not happening here, primarily because Ismael Bonfim missed weight. All right, let's go. Let's see the main event of the evening. Step on the scale. Let's see who's going to be first to the scale here. The footage that they are rolling is about to end. And by the way, massive size discrepancy also when you have Montserrat Ruiz against Eduarda Mara. That was something that jumped off the page also. And first to the scale for the main event of the evening, it's Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis making his way across the stage. We've seen in the past, he came in for his bout against Marcos Rogerio de Lima at 263 or so, 265 today, and he took this fight on short notice. This was supposed to be Curtis Blades' fight. So, but I'll say this. Blades looks solid, stepping on the scale. Looks less flabbier than he has in past fights. And wow, Jailton Almeida taking a page out of, it looks like P90X. Remember, as Tony Horton says, do your best and forget the rest. And Jailton Almeida is making hand gestures to the crowd, flexing, stepping on the scales. And I know he's giving up about 30 pounds or so to Derek Lewis. And Almeida's the taller fighter by about 2 or 3 inches. Both of these fighters leaning into one another. You have Derek Lewis in a fighting stance, and they shake hands and they're off their separate ways. And here they are about to be interviewed. Last words of encouragement for each side and paying homage to the Sao Paulo crowd. Fascinating display at weigh-ins today, folks. I'm happy to put on this UFC Sao Paulo watch party, and I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to go get what's yours if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel and also liking the video. This would be a big help as we continue to grow this channel. And let's go get it one fight at a time. Go get what's yours, my brothers. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. And remember, Saturday is fight day. Let's go.